Everybody, and welcome to another show, Hacking on Samui Wallet, live for Cypherpunk Hackathon on Solana. I'm preparing a few things. I'm posting my links on X, so give me 1 second, please. And in the meanwhile, I might as well share my screen and dive right in. Gotta mute my tab here so I don't hear myself in the echo. And yeah, we're back. It's been 2 nights without live hacking, but that's not to say that we didn't do anything. In fact, one of the reasons I wasn't here live hacking on the stream with you all was because I was very busy getting the wallet ready, getting the presentation ready. There's 2 days left, and we're getting there. So, a bit of a backstory. Yesterday, I realized that the format of how we have to deliver our speech changed. So, or how we have to deliver our project changed. So it used to be a presentation, slides that somebody would go over in their own pace, reading the deck, and a demo video showing the project and a link to the project. Now, apparently this has changed. And now the format is that you have to do a pitch where you actually go in and narrate some slides. Now, what that means is that the slides need to be way more clean. There needs to be way less text on it. So I'm going to go ahead and redo all of this, but I won't bother you all with these details right now. Today, I want to look at the app, see where it's going, and then actually add some features. So let's first look at the app and see where we are today. So I think that's kind of a nice thing to do. And I'm going to be popping open this one, and I'll be doing the mobile view because currently it does work on a desktop, but it is kind of clunky. So I tend to test a lot of these things just in a mobile web view. Now, this is also not without errors. If you can see here, like these buttons may use a little bit of space. I reckon if we like can make it a bit smaller, then it might look a bit better. But yeah, there's still a bunch of issues. But let's try the wallet as it is right now. So this is the onboarding screen. If you haven't seen it already, it allows you to create a new wallet. It just shows the key phrase. There's an issue open to make these one password inputs. So if you're interested in picking that up, seems like a simple one. You can pick between the 24 or 12 words. You can copy the seed phrase. Now, here's an issue. I would not have expected this account to be created. I would have expected this account basically to copy my thing. So I think what needs to happen here, and we might as well just bug fix this right on the spot. So let me close this out. Now I don't need to close this out. I can just go here in application, and when I'm done, delete. So let me move this away to my different screen and then go back to my editor. So what happens here is in the onboarding section, in the generate, but also the import screen is affected by this. I need to change the copy button. So the copy button here, this is this button. And I'm fairly sure that a button by default will submit a form. So if we say type button right here, then we should not have the same behavior. So let's scroll back to the page. Let's delete database. Okay. And then we're just going to go back and start from scratch. So now when I say create a new wallet, I do copy, it should allow me to copy. There you go. Perfect. Now, going back to the import screen, if we do paste, we probably have the same issue where it will, well, first it asks me to allow it to paste. Sure. But it did try to submit. And this is why we get please enter all 12 words, because that's like a validation to make sure that this form can actually be submitted. So if we refresh, you see that the import button is disabled. This is something I just added. In order to add this, I wrap this whole card with the screens in a form and I gave this button type submit. So what we need to do is change the paste, because now if we do this and we do again paste, it should submit, which is not what we want. So let's go right back here, refresh the thing, go back to my editor, and then do the same for the UI text paste button and set type to button right here. Now, create a wallet, copy, go back, I have a wallet, paste, and import. Perfect. Now, it says wallet not detected. I think this is related to an issue that Toby already mentioned, where this list doesn't get updated. So I did change the menu here. This is now the new updated navigation. And it also seems that it imported this thing twice, which is not what we want. So let's investigate these things, see if we can get another issue knocked out. Import wallet. It does work right away if there's one. So I might not have been testing this correctly. Look who's here, my buddy Sandeep, GM, sir. Feels like an eternity to see the episodes back. Yes, 2 nights, no episodes. One night I actually fell asleep on the couch here in the co-working, so that was kind of a signal to myself, like, might want to go to sleep, which I did. And yesterday there was actually pitch competition for La Familia, or pitch feedback session, if you will. And I tried to do the pitch, but my pitch was not ready, definitely not ready. And I had some issues, like it was a very noisy guy here in the co-working, and went back to my place, couldn't find food. All in all, I was back at 12, and I was like, I'm not going to pitch right now. It's good as is. So didn't do the pitch, didn't do a live show, but I'm back today, and most likely tomorrow, and most likely Thursday evening as well, or Friday night, whatever your time zone is. And then I'll take a few days off. I will probably keep on doing my live sessions because my daily updates in the morning, but I won't probably do live coding because I'll be getting out of this co-working. I'll just have my Airbnb. I might do one there, but it's not super comfortable. So yeah, when I'm back to the next destination, I'll be flying this weekend. And when I'll be back on Monday, I'll most likely start picking up again. And the beauty is, on Monday, we can work on whatever we want code-wise, because then the pitch is done, the videos are done, and we don't need to bother with all of the non-code related things. To catch you up, what we're going over the wallet in the new incognito window. So this is kind of a thing I want to introduce as a standard, so we can see what happened in the browser. So I already kind of touched on, we have this new thing. Now, this is definitely an issue. This should not happen in such a way. It should not import it twice. So there's probably something there. I do actually think it did get added twice. So accounts, yes, it just exists twice. So definitely something for me to check out what this is, and get rid of this before we do the demo. Also here, this now no longer updates. I kind of know why this is. This has to do with the new navigation. So what I already mentioned in my daily yesterday is that we don't have end-to-end tests for the UI. We have a fair amount of tests for the database and the key pair generation stuff. So that all should work as expected, which is good. We don't have any UI tests. So stuff that just happened, we don't test this, so we don't see any regressions. So it's going to be really monkey testing, but I'm fairly sure after next week, we'll do a bunch of cleanup and we'll get this straight. Now, another thing that I added is a way to provision clusters. So these are the clusters we ship by default. And since yesterday, we actually have support for apps env in, or what is it, apps web .env file. I'm not going to show this one. I'm going to show the example. It's cleaner. Here we can actually set cluster URLs. So we can say, hey, DevNet, if you're going to provision, or localnet or mainnet or any cluster, use this URL. So this is kind of useful. And the other thing, why is this useful? Well, I want to test stuff on mainnet in the sense that I want to be able to view wallets that live on mainnet. In my actually dev environment, I have this set up. Here you can see mainnet, and then I can actually check browsers. If I go to portfolio, bam, and check wallets. I said check browsers. I can check wallets on mainnet, and this is especially interesting for the activity view. Now, this is the other thing that I updated today. I added this, I made this activity view more functional by sectioning off all of these dates. So everything that happens on a different date gets listed in a different section. I added a bunch of icons here. And then in the transaction detail view, you can actually go in, and this is kind of direction where we want to be heading. Samui as a developer tool, we want to save round trips to the Explorer. So having this stuff in your database, or sorry, in your wallet, should save you a bunch of time actually going into the Explorer and figuring this stuff out. Now, if you need to go to the Explorer, we don't want you to pick just one. We want you to be able to go to any Explorer of the ones that we supported at least, and be able to see the same instruction in any of these. Because most of the Solana developers that I know will use different explorers for different things. For instance, if you just want to look at a plain transaction, you most likely want to use Solana Explorer because it's just very clean. If you want to do something with like looking at funds for a token, Solana Explorer doesn't have like token prices, so you probably want to go to SolScan. And then this one, this is a new one from Helios. It's kind of a fancy one, and it has a bunch of things that I like. People might not like it, but I do. And one of the things that I like is that you can actually see, given a wallet, who funded this thing. Now, why do I like this thing? This gets into the sleuth mode. I can now check a wallet, see who this is funded by. And then, well, in this case, it doesn't show, which is kind of a thing. So I now still have to drill back and figure out, hey, who actually transferred the first Sol to this account? But it's very likely that this is the same person. So this wallet, which got then funded by this person, which got funded by this person, and then they eventually got funded by Binance. So if you want to like investigate who is behind something, this is a very useful thing. Now, not everybody will like this probably, but hey, if you do nasty stuff in chain, you should be aware that it's public, right? So don't do nasty stuff. The other kind of nice thing about Orb, and let me see if I can find it, is that they have an AI integration. Now, there you go. Explain with the AI. It's just right here. I think this is super useful, especially like this is simple token transfer. So this is something we can easily kind of, sorry, this is something we can easily kind of look at and figure out what it does. It multiple one Lamport system transfer to 20 different addresses. So yeah, this is basically spam, right? But if you have a more complex transaction, this will be super useful to figure out, hey, what actually happened here? And yeah, so great to see innovation on the Explorer front. They have a white mode, or light mode, I should say. So this is pretty cool. And we at Samui decided for now to support Solana Explorer, SolScan, and Orb. We can add more in the future if that's needed. But yeah, transaction detail viewer, great. It's a utility, and we hope it saves round trips to the explorers. Now, here's still a whole bunch of stuff to do. We need to parse this and render it. I hope people from the community will see this and pick this up and be like, hey, I want to have the instruction logs here, and then basically submit a pull request. If not, over time, we'll get to this. For me, the basic idea is we're going to add the idea, we're going to add the basic, set it up, fetch the transaction, and then go in and make the base, and then anybody else can do this. Now, Toby's on the show. Good to have you here, sir. When Explorer.Samui built. Yes, in fact, this has been a long-term thing that I had in mind. I think I already mentioned this most likely to you, but I realized I talk a lot, so I duplicate a lot. Um, I basically run with verbose mode on by default when I talk about my work. Anyway, Explorer, yes. Why do I want to explore? Well, I tend to work on planes, and on airplanes, there's no Solana Explorer, Solscanner, Orb because you don't tend to run these things locally. So yes, I do think we should be building the building blocks inside here. And I also think that at some point, we'll just have all of the basic blocks, UI, what is it, React queries and Solana client configurations, et cetera, to actually just build the Explorer. I even think it may become part of the wallet. In fact, this morning, when I added the tools here in the bottom, I was like, hey, instead of settings here, it would be kind of cool to have Explore there. Explore in here, just search box, where you can search a signature, a wallet, a block. I mean, you might add a block. Does somebody actually look at blocks? I don't really think so. I think we can definitely just do signatures and an address at least. I mean, the signature thing is already here, right? This is basically the start of our transaction page for the Explorer. Like the main thing that we need to do is here change the URL. This we should get rid of this, so just so that it kind of adheres to the same standards. We probably want to do a cluster query parameter where we can say, okay, you might have your cluster set to whatever, mainnet in my case, but if we find this cluster query parameter, in that case, for this request on this page, ignore whatever this is set to. Make it appear like it's set to DevNet. Don't have to change the setting in the database, what is the active one. I don't think this should control the active cluster, but at least for the render, should just look at that cluster. And if we have those things and we add like an Explorer option here, I think the creating an app in our mono repo, launching it to Explorer dot is fairly simple. Now, I don't want to list the thing. I don't want this thing to live on Explorer.samui.build. I think it should live on x.samui.build. But yeah, we can kind of bike shed for that one. I think this is pretty. Anyway, I digress. What I wanted to do today is look at tool section. And this tool section is added today because we need to show the judges why is this wallet different than any other wallet and why is this a great tool for developers. So let me quickly commit these two fixes. I'm on main branch, so onboarding, copy paste. And this is basically fix for onboarding. Make copy paste buttons. Set type of copy paste buttons to button. Great. So, and I might as well just push it up and create a pull request right away. So this tool section, we want to add some tools here so that people understand, hey, this is actually more than a wallet. This is a tool for developers. We also already mentioned like, hey, it would be kind of nice if you can just paste in the transaction and analyze it. It comes basically back again like, hey, we're building Explorer features right into this thing. And I think that's great. So I'm going to push this up to GitHub and then make sure I'm on the latest here. I'm not. The stuff goes fast, I can tell you that. So do a force push. In the meanwhile, let's give this a little bit less space. So this is how I tend to test my the wallet most of the time. Making it so that it works well on desktop view is going to take some time, but we have time, so that's great. Just going to create pull request right here. And then we're going to let that one run. Give it a few seconds so that this loads in. Just so I see the status. There we go. Amazing. So today, tools is its own package. And inside here, one of the things that I want to do is create a bunch of cards for the different tools that we're going to have. And I guess this is most likely going to be just an array of label and path. And let's, for the sake of it, pass in an icon while we're here. And then the tools that I want to do is, well, the overview is not really a tool, so we won't be adding that. Airdrop is something that we decided on, airdrop. And I think, well, let me actually check. I think Toby used a umbrella. So that's going to be that. Now, I still need to figure out why this doesn't work as expected, but hey, let's not bother too much about that. And then here we basically want to map over tools, and for each tool, just show UI cards. I think that's what we want to do, and set the key to tool.path. I realize I need to do tool singular here. And let's see, title. I think this wants to be a div so that I can render the icon. And what I then typically do is destructure this thing, get the path, the label, and the icon, setting that to an icon. No, I don't need to do this. I'm sorry. Because what we can do is actually say UI icon, where icon equals to tool.icon. And this then with tool.label. And then let's see if this is something. Okay. Class name, flex, items center, get to. Now the label here may be a bit better, a bit bigger. Sure. Let's say text extra large. Great. Does this actually want to be a card? We have this new item in ShadCN UI. So let me see, components. I love that I just called it item. It's the best name for an item. Yes. I think the second one kind of looks like what we need. So let's get rid of this one and basically add that here. Then import the whole bunch. Let's start with a link from React Router, where we say link.to tool.path, sure. And then UI icon, where icon is tool.icon. And import all of these things from the respective packages. Now, what I probably also want to do is actually do a grid, and grid calls to, and I may as well add the second one. So token, create token. Oh, I didn't even tell what I want to do. We want to create tokens and mint tokens. I've been online for 25 minutes and I didn't even mention what I actually was about to build. So yes, we're going to do token minting and token creation right here. So I reckon we have a money gas coin. Yes, okay. So this wants to be coins, and then this wants to be hand coins. Sure. Okay, we need to set a bit of a gap here, so let's do the gap of 6. Okay, simple and functional. Now the overview here, this is already a tab, and in fact, this is very similar to what this is. So let me go back to tools routes. Now also, I don't like odd things here. So let's do this when medium. And let's see if this does 3. Yeah, this is typically stuff that I can like configure for days and never be happy with. For now, I'm just gonna make them 3. Great. Then what I want to do here is add the same things. So I'm gonna copy these over, add them here, and then instead of icon, we have element. And this wants to be a div, and then we just add a text in here. So now we should have these tabs. Very nice. And these are the types that we can just then create. So what we can do is create one empty one. So we have a feature called airdrop. And then in the airdrop one, let's do a card right here. This is typically how this works for me. Add something, add a card, realize like, oh, this doesn't need to be a card. And then get rid of it. Tools airdrop, and we can get rid of all of this stuff. And then the reason I have this is so that we can lazy load it here. So we can say airdrop.js tools overview airdrop. Amazing. And create that one here. That's not great. Tools overview airdrop. And do the same for create token and mint token. Tools feature create token and tools feature mint token. And these two want to be closed. Now, last thing we want to say is here create token and mint token. Sure. So this wants to create token. Give a little space here and here. And then in this one, we're just going to replace create with mint, and we should be all good. We are not good. Last thing I need to do is update the paths here. Create token, mint token, etc. Now refresh. Bam. Routes are there. It actually looks kind of nice with the cards because there's a border here. The exact, it's not the exact same border, but at least there's a white line. Like the radius is a bit different, but for now, this is good enough. The other thing that we want to do is actually make these paths in the overview component absolute. So this is going to be /tools. So overview tools, airdrop create. And I do realize there's a bit of redundancy here, but I think for now, this is fine. So, this one is underlined because it doesn't have a key. And now it has, and I think key should be path. Not sure why, it just feels better. Okay, cool. So with these things in mind, I want to sit on top of the tools mint branch. So let me actually go ahead and tools features, add feature routes. I'm just going to do a quick commit here so that I can grab the commit hash, then go back to my, that's this one, go back to my tools mint branch, and then here I want to say get cherry pick this one. Nice. And then I want to undo the changes. And in fact, I want to undo the other changes as well, because I just want to be on the whole branch with everything that I changed. And this, actually, I'm going to do a commit for all of this. Contrary to what I just said, I'm going to go ahead and first rebase this off main, because we do have a bunch of activity. And the earlier we rebase, the less friction. Great. Okay, so now I can kind of inspect what I've done here. So the first one can already be gone. So I was testing this from the API, just because when I was creating the script, I didn't want to make any UI just yet. I just wanted to figure out if I can quickly mint a token. Turns out I could, just by the documentation from the Solana website. And so I started copying over stuff that I needed. Also, Solana-client here, I set this to module. We need to do a consistent, we need to improve consistency here, probably. Just set everything to module, because right now it doesn't work. But for this commit, it shouldn't be set. So here it can go. Now the tools overview, this, sure, we want to do this. So let's do a quick overview. So this is the overview. These are the routes. All of that is good. I'm going to skip this file. And then I'm going to be saying towards the tools features. All of these are going to be added. And I'm left over with two files, two new files. I'm fairly sure I can get rid of changes in PNPM log because I'm not changing any new packages or dependencies. So this is now fairly clean. So this is create token mint and create token account. Let's go back to the Solana client and figure out these things. So create token mint is this one. This is what I basically copied over from the Solana documentation website. I want to be going to localnet because this is where I want to test this. And now we can see the new feature that Toby just added, confirm airdrop, bam. Like this is already such a huge benefit. It's amazing. It's really good. Just now that I look at this, Toby, I think what would be cool if we're in another section of the app to have our sol balance at least sit here in the top. May not be needed. It may be cool. I don't know. Let's create a token first. So this create token mint. And that's the first one, what I want to do. Now, what I also realized, and what I realized here, let me see, what is the, okay, it does have a type error here, where it says that the invert type of SPL create token mint cannot be named without a reference to nominal types. This is not portable. The type and annotation is necessary. Why is that? Well, depending on what we return, I think. So, sorry. These are these nominal types. These are the branded types that Kit uses. Kit is not written for human beings. Kit is written for TypeScript wizards. I reckon if we do it to string on both of these, the error should go. That's true. So for now, that's how I'm going to run with this. As with most of these Solana client packages, we want to have an equivalent to this in the React query section. In the Solana client React, we want to have an equivalent to this one. So its name would be use and then the same. Now, Toby did some wizardry here with query client, adding it in. We've been discussing how to get this into a situation where we don't have to do prop drilling, we don't have to use a provider, and we get max flexibility. Now, one of the things that I get notified here is that we don't await, like the promise is ignored. I'm not sure how important this is. What I would typically do is pop an async on this one and then an await on this one. I don't know if this has any benefits. Yes, Sandeep, hydration alert. Thank you. Talking straight away for 35 minutes does take a toll on my throat. So, but yeah, as said, I'm just going to go take the last best one that I think is the best one up until now. And I'm going to be doing the use SPL token create token mint. We're getting the Java-like names here. I'm not mad at this. This is just how it's how it's going to work. We prefer clarity over brevity, I think, eventually. Now, this is interesting. Why would it do this when we already have a file that does exactly the same? It may be that I didn't do the npm install, so it may be fixed right now. Maybe my TypeScript's mad, so I can do a restart TypeScript service just to see if this changes the game. Now, what I want to do here is use the function that I named this thing after. So we're going to use this function, and the input from this function here is the input right here, SPL token, create token mint options. I'm just going to say input right here, and this is going to be the input. And I'm going to straightly pass that into this function. Again, I don't know why this is. That's a shortcut right here. Okay, interesting. We don't depend on UI here. Well, let's just depend on UI. And npm install this. I'd put a void instead of await, because we don't care about the value. Sure. Happy to follow that pattern. Okay, this is kind of a thing. So this is the new PNPM property that we set, and this is going to bite us in the back. The minimum release age setting is now preventing this auto install from browser list. So today, Toby set it to a week, but I think this is not going to be practical, and I think this does more bad than it does good. If I now fix this, it will run. But this kind of defeats the whole purpose of having the thing. So I think a week is way too long. I think a day, if there's issues, it will be in a day. We should probably set our dependent bot in a week and not this one. But that's some other bike setting we can do before, like after the hackathon. For now, this should fix the issue here, and then this should also make it so that these one can just be imported from the package right away. I'm not going to commit this though. I'm just going to leave that as is. Because in the end of the day, we're trying to mint a token here. Now, when I mint a token, I don't care about revalidating the balance, nor do I care about the account. So I want to say token mint created successfully. Fails to create token mint. So that's going to be errors here. We don't care about parameters. So we don't need query clients. And then I should be able to use this from my new feature. So feature create token. And I'm just going to say mutation equals this one. And now I need to get a hold of my wallet. So in order for us to do that, I will need to depend on the portfolio, which I already do. And then inside the portfolio, we have these guards. And there's this one guard that combines them both, which is where we want to go to eventually. Created this on one of the live streams. It's the portfolio UI cluster wallet guard. Takes both, gives me both. This is what I want to do here. So I'm not even going to think about optimizing any of this. I'm just going to say render props and then add these tabs into these props. So tabs for the tools will not render if this thing is not there. Property undefined endpoint. Interesting. Interesting. Is there anything that this one depends on? It should not. Okay, it looks like that's good. And what this thing returns is this cluster wallet. Now, I've been dealing with cluster wallets for quite a bit, and there is an issue open on how to figure that out. Not something for today. Create token, for now, we'll just receive a cluster mint, nice and easy. And then we can say here where we need it. What are we going to pass in here? I reckon it's cluster, sure. So that'll be props.cluster. Now again, it's a reading of undefined. Interesting. So what I've been doing a lot of times recently was just opening this up in a incognito browser, which I already have opened. So let me open a new one and tools create token. This should redirect me. So create a new wallet, create, fine. And now I have two again. So this is the bug. I know about this. Go here, create token, cannot read endpoint. This was exactly the same, I think, that Toby saw. He said removing node modules got rid of it, which is kind of strange. Maybe running a whole build might change it. Hey, there's a typo error, typing error. Ah, okay, yes, well, that explains. If I don't pass it in, it won't work, right? So, and now it does work, beautiful. I wonder if we can have this check types running in the background only on changed packages. It might be annoying though. I don't know. And now it works. So yes, user error. Who would have thought? So with this mutation, so basically we want to have a button here, and the button is gonna say create token, and then on click, we're gonna run this function, and that's gonna be mutate async. And we want to add a mint, which is a key pair signer, and the fee payer, which is another key pair signer. Now, the fee payer, we can get this one from the wallet This is also something where we really, really need to change the API because this is not great. For now, what I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to pass in the whole object here, right here. So this will then be props.cluster. And inside here, I'm going to omit the fee payer. Just so that right here, I can say, get me the fee payer from the key pair. And what do we have for this? This is a function that lives in key pair, and it's the let's see, it's create key pair from JSON. Now, one of the reasons I don't say create key pair from wallet is because this key pair package doesn't know anything about our database and our wallets. Now, I don't say it must not, or it may not. This is just how it works today. So this is a promise. So I'm going to await this. And then the JSON here, and this is a very ugly API. JSON here is props.wallet.secret key. Now this will complain that it might not exist. So if we don't have this, for now, throw an error. Missing wallet secret key. We already know, like right now I'm connected to view only wallet. So this thing shouldn't even render. There should probably be a warning in UI, and this may actually be one of the things that I am going to add here. Now, mint, we do want to create a key pair signer here. So we want to say create mint is await, and fee payer equals generate key pair signer. So we want to say generate key pair signer. And this should come from a package where we don't depend on. So we're going to go back to tools. And in package JSON, we're going to say depend on Solana client. Do a pnpm install. Just so we can import the thing. Yeah, sure, it doesn't exist, but it will. So from Solana client, and this is generate pair sign. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Just gonna await this thing. And then in here, we're just gonna pass in props. And let's see, install didn't run. Let's see if this runs right now. It does. Let's restart dev server. Interesting. Tools feature create token. I'm fairly sure I added it here. Solana client from workspace. Yes. npm install. Minimum release size. Just not going to commit it. This is, I mean, it's just a feature that's been rushed by PNPM for a good reason, I say, because there's been a lot of attacks and there's just a bunch of things that are not working well with it. One of them is this. The other one is Dependabot. So Dependabot tends to shoot in updates to your packages or your log file, and then it will run it in like a virtual machine, and then this will hit and it will cause a bunch of errors. Now we don't see these errors because they don't end up as a pull request, but they this is an example. Dependabot should take this into account, and a tool that runs, apparently there's this browser list here that runs. If I do the pnpm install, fine, but it should be gracefully handling this case. And until that, we are probably all going to ignore it and kind of defeating the purpose of having this thing. Anyway, this should now be good, and this should now import from here. Beautiful. So then with that, I should be able to clean my console here, create token missing wallet secret. Okay, perfect. This was expected because this is a view-only wallet. So I'm going to drop back to Alice. I'm going to go to portfolio, airdrop Alice a sol, go back to tools, create token, clean this up, create token, failed to create token mint. And this is SPO create token mint line 48. So fee payer.address. So yes, this is because I don't pass the fee payer into the input. So let's destructure the input right here, add fee payer, and then go back. Now, this is kind of a downside of the setup here we have with Vite. I think one of the reasons Vite is so blazingly fast is that it doesn't do any type check. I'm used to working with Webpack, as most of you, for the longest time, which was very slow on large apps compared to Vite, but it did have type checking here. Your app would just not render if you had something like this. So I guess there's pros and cons to all of these things. Here we are. Beautiful. Let me actually go to portfolio, to the activity, and check here. It's been a second that this happened, according to the transaction time. Now I should load this in. And now I get an error message. Okay, beautiful. So there's another way to get this thing. Version is not supported by the requesting client. Please try the request again with the following parameters. Max supported transaction version. Interesting. Interesting. Get transaction. Is this something that we do here? Yes, max supported transaction version is no. So let's see if we do this. Well, that's not what it wants. Max supported transaction version. Does it actually? It might take a. It might take an object here. It does not. Interesting. Now, this is one of the things I hate most about this new setup. So it takes a config optionally. We must specify encoding if we take a config, and then we can set max supported transaction version. Okay, so we say encoding, I reckon this is base 58. Then we say max supported transaction version 0. Now we don't have account keys. Sure, this is just me assuming things in the UI, which I shouldn't. It may also be a different. We probably want to do JSON parsed here. Or don't we? Yeah, okay. I mean, still errors, but I feel like there's progress. Objects are not valid child. So in this feature tags, this is just me being trying to be fast, where I basically say, yeah, I'm just assuming that this type is correct, which will lead to these kind of errors. Call it hackathon mode, call it skill issue, where I don't understand how to properly type Git responses, either. We do see now this transaction. So it's a matter of me figuring out like stuff that might be there and that is not there. What I mean with that is stuff that is assumed here but we don't have it. For instance, it may be this fee payer, although I don't think that it's fee payer. Let me go ahead and do this in a kind of drastic way. Just gonna do it like this. Error loading transaction for unknown reason. Again, error loading transaction for unknown reason. There's no error here. And yeah, so as we all can see, there's a whole lot to be desired for this error loading transaction. So it doesn't have query.data. So we can just console log query. It says it's not an error. If success is true, then data, but data will now be null. Maybe it's not the use transaction. Maybe it's not JSON parsed. Maybe it's something else. Base 64. I don't think it's base 64. Nah. Anyway, work to be done on the transaction viewer. Who would have thought? But we do have a token created, and I might as well just mint a new one. It's actually here in my mint. Now, the other thing, it kind of comes back to the Explorer. I just sometimes want to be able to check an account, like any account. Now, what I can do is go back here into portfolio activity. It should render the transactions. It does not. Why doesn't it render transaction? Well, the Solana test validator doesn't keep history for too long. So let's just mint a new token. Go back here. Here we have the transaction. Now we can go to the Solana Explorer, connect it to localhost. Okay, RPC is not responding. Interesting. RPC is not responding. Let's do the inspect here and get rid of this one. Check the console. Access is denied. Yeah, sure. This should be the shielding issue. Localhost 8899. Fairly sure it works because I did just mint a token and I am connected to this thing. So the other thing that we can kind of test here is go on DevNet. Sure. Now we're in DevNet. Let's mint a token on DevNet, which will then be the first token minted through Samui, which by itself is kind of cool. And this just happened, 52 seconds. Connect to DevNet. Here we go, bam. First token minted by Samui. Amazing, we made progress. And we're already an hour in. We're still 3 viewers. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, so, I mean, we may as well drop it in Discord for historical reasons. Why not first token minted? Cool. It's in our Discord. If you are not in our Discord, you are welcome. We have on our website now, we have a link, samui.build, and here you can say join our Discord. And we also have a link to public roadmap, and it's very empty right now, but we will clean this up. I also reckon this page should be called home and not Samui. So this one says home, but that's another detail. Yeah, so we can mint token from the front end. The thing I want to add here as a configuration option. So a few things. So we're not going to be bothering with the transaction details right now. This is all very much unrelated. The secret key, I do want to make a change here. And if you are creating a token right here and your wallet type is not derived, so props.wallet type, if it's derived, show this stuff. Otherwise, show an alert. I guess we have a UI alert. We don't have a UI alert. Then just show div. You can't mint a token while wallet props.wallet.name of type props.wallet.type. Great. And now I change this to bman. You can't with a wallet. This. Bam. Let's actually make 2 lines of this. So I'll do a p tag here and a p tag here. Wallet of type is not derived. All TBD. And but yeah, this is kind of the ID. So now we're gonna go to ls create token. So the one thing that I would like to have here is a preview of the key pair that we're gonna have. So I'm gonna do this quick and dirty. I'm gonna say mutation key pair. No, I'm gonna say a query key pair is use query. And I'm gonna say query function equals get key pair signer. And query key, I don't really care. It's key pair. And then this one should just run by default. So we should have an address here. And then we should be able to refresh the address. Now, this is all very much in line with, okay, actually, we do want to be able to do niche. We do want to be able to do vanity key pairs. So do this one and say, actually, size is icon and then lucid refresh counterclockwise, I think is what we're using. And do variant is outline. And while we're at it, we might as well say flex call gap 6 beauty. And then we're going to say a div here where we say flex item center gap 2. Now we can just change this thing. Okay. 2 things. Button wants to be on the other side, and this thing wants to be mono space. Now I do realize that it refreshes, so we should probably say refetch and window focus false. It understands what I want to do here. And now we can pass in any of these wallets. And this is where it gets kind of hairy, because now I actually want to say, okay, you know what? We already have these functions where we have where we take a JSON string or a byte array or a base 58 and convert it in such a key pair signer. But then I need to keep track if this is something you imported, and if not, it's important, I need to do it. So I probably need to like a use state and say imported key pair, which for now feels like too much work. Especially if we consider what we gain with this, which is something that not a lot of people expect from us. So what I'm going to say is, if we don't have query pair of data, just return this thing. Oh, and by the way, disable if you don't have query pair of data. Sure. And this mint can go, and this is then query pair of data. Beautiful. Let's still get this thing out. And actually, log get explorer URL for cluster props cluster. Does this take a wallet? What does this take? Path. Sure. Path equals slash address. And this wants to be template string. And we're going to say res.mint. But actually, so we can say mint and the TX, where the TX is res.transaction, well, signature, I think. Beautiful. Now let's refresh here, do a refresh, and we say hard, create token. We do have two links. Check it right here. And we can mint. Now, this is great. What we already see here is kind of a sneak preview. Yeah, token metadata, symbol, unknown token. Sure, there's a bunch of things that we want to be able to configure. I guess decimals is a thing that would be fairly easy. It would be a matter of, okay, gonna go back to this file, add decimals here, add a check here. The decimals is somewhere between 0 and 9. Pass in the decimals right here. And then basically, as of that moment, we can go nuts with changing a whole bunch of things that are related. Also, we're minting a token 2022. Sorry, we're minting an original token. So with the original token program and not token 2022. So that's definitely all stuff that we want to do. A semi-related thing, getting block hash. Block hash stays valid for a certain amount of time. I think it's like 30 seconds. I think it's more, but you can basically cache these things for 30 seconds. Now, I don't expect people to be minting tokens left, right, and center the whole time, but it may be something like it may be an optimization where for all of these type of functions, we'll just pass in the latest block hash, and then it doesn't really matter where we get it from. And then have some sort of service in our wallet that can just return a latest block hash, either a cached one or not, so that if it happens to be called in succession 3 times within 5 seconds or something, that it'll just give back the same. Now, all of these things clearly hyper optimization. We need to figure out if this actually happens. We need to figure out like, hey, how can we show that this happens? So maybe we do want to have some scripts that add these things and then add some caching function to do this. Like all of this is pretty well understood. Let's see what more do we do with client RPC. We get the minimum balance for rent exception, sure, and the latest block hash. Now here, we also do more with the client because we also send it. So client gets passed into the send and confirm transaction factory, which is where we actually send it. So one way to optimize this function, well, another way to optimize this function is return this signed transaction. Don't bother about sending it nor getting the transaction. So basically the function SPL create token mint transaction will take a block hash, will return this one. Then it doesn't have to need to have any RPC calls. And the nice thing about that is that we can then craft these functions in a more isolated way and test these things without having to deal with reaching out to an RPC. Again, all of these optimizations. For now, I'm kind of considering that we do have an initial token minter. Now, I'm not going to be loading PNPM workspace, but I am going to do a commit. And my commit is going to be mint SPL token. There you go. And with that, I think I'm going to call it a night. It's 3 a.m. Tomorrow will be my day where I must finish the pitch deck and record it, at least the first go. Hope my voice is a bit better. Otherwise, they'll get just the raw version. And I'm going to push this up. And with that, I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for watching. It was a great pleasure being back. I hope to see you tomorrow around the same time, building some more stuff. Let's see if we can actually mint some tokens. So what I want to do is at least add the option for decimals, create a token, keep track of the mint that we actually had, so that in the mint token UI, we can say, oh, this is the token you minted at this time. So you can kind of remember. Now from that mint, we also want to know which wallet it was. So let's actually add some nodes in the create token app. So we're going to do here, create token nodes. I'm not going to commit this, just going to add this nodes. Keep track of the mint TX fee payer of the recent mints. Show these in the mint token screen, and then allow minting, allow creating token accounts for that mint, and mint tokens into the allow minting tokens into those token accounts. Also, we maybe something with supply. Do we want to max supply? So one of the things that you can kind of do while you create a token is basically say, hey, mint token, give it 6 decimals and give me a supply of 1 million. So that would be kind of cool, because then you don't have to mint it to yourself, and then you just own these tokens. So let's say you're on local net or DevNet for that matter, it doesn't really matter. You go here, you say, create a token. I want to do this symbol, this decimals, and mint me 1 million, create token. You then go back to your portfolio view, and there you have your tokens right in your wallet. And then you can just send it to somebody without having to say mint token. Now that said, we also do want to have this mint token. So we want to have both. Let's do record that. Optimal flow is, we're going to say create token, specify decimals, supply to mint into fee payer wallet, optional set token metadata. If that's a quick and easy win, we'll do it. Otherwise, we won't. Perfect. That's it for today. Sandeep, yes, thanks a lot, sir. Wishing me all the best with the pitch deck. It will be great. It will be fine. I really, really still think we make a very decent chance to win something. And if not, it was a great learning experience. And I'm sure that we will find another way to keep on working on this wallet. But yeah, I'm very, very hopeful, and I'll do my best to make this work. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow, and I wish you all a great night.